Yo, what is up, guys? Okay, welcome to another series of our Roblox scripting tutorial. Now in this tutorial, we'll be looking at for loops and tables. This is gonna be quite a lengthy video, so pause it when you need to take a break and then come back refreshed, and then let's jump straight into it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna cover is for loops and exactly what they are and how they work. Okay, now there's many loops, but the first one which I want to go over is for loops because it's something that is used a lot. In my years of scripting, I've used more for loops than while loops, so we're going to use for loops here. Okay, so open up your script in script service. Okay, now a for loop, a simple for loop looks like this: for I comma v in pairs 2. Okay, so this is a simple for loop, right? Then we have another one, which is for I equals something do. Okay, now ignore this red line for now. Okay, then what we also have is a loop that looks like for dash comma whatever in ipairs. Okay, so here are your different types of loops. They all work the same, they just type differently. Okay, so let's focus on the one that's used mainly. For this one over here, what exactly does this thing do? Right, let me show you quickly. Okay, so if we've got a variable, okay, now this is where I'm gonna go into what tables are. Now, before I jump into that, I just want to give you a quick understanding of for loop and what it does. Now, a for loop loops non-stop. Okay, it's not like a while loop where it will keep running non-stop until you actually stop it. A for loop will loop through everything that you've listed and then stop. Okay, yes, this can stop your game from working because you need to slow it down, otherwise it gets so fast it actually crashes your computer. It doesn't matter how fast your computer is or how strong it is. A for loop and a while loop will show your computer who's boss. Okay, so take it from someone who knows how to script and been doing it for a while. So let's jump into this, right? We're gonna work on with a table. So let's remove the for loop for now. So what is a table now? So take your computer desk or whatever desk you're sitting at as your current table on Roblox, okay? You've got your computer screen, you've got your computer box, you've got your keyboard, you've got your mouse, you've got maybe a can of soda, a plate next to you, things like that, right? That's all stored on your table physically, right? They're all on your desk, you can see them. Now, it's the same thing in Roblox as a table. So my table equals that. Now this is a table, okay? Now this, don't get confused and say shiny, but now you told me this is a variable, because don't be dumb. This is not a variable, it's a table. How do you know that? Because of these brackets, okay? The minute it was something like this, that's a variable. Or if it was something like workspace dot baseplate, that is a variable. But the minute we start doing something like this, we're getting to a table. Now, how do tables work? Okay, so let's take something like this first quickly. Let's do test. Okay. Test table. Let's do it like that. Right. Now in here, this is a variable. It's a classic variable. It's storing a piece of text. Now, how do we store? Let's say we want to store 6 or 7 or 10 of these in one variable and not have 10 of these just sitting like that, right? Non-stop. Okay, this is where tables come involved. They store a lot of information that you can call later on or use later on. Sometimes these are stored in modular scripts. Now, I'll get into that way later in the advanced scripting. But for now, a table and a variable if we come into the table, right, let's put test over here. Okay, I'm going to remove this. So here we have our first item in our table. But now let's say we want to add another one. So we're going to change test to dog. Okay, now over here we put a comma. We put another parentheses, let's say cat. We put another comma, let's say pig. Put another comma, let's say donkey. Okay, I'm sure you're a donkey, but let's keep it here. Okay, now a table can store all of these, right? It can store numbers, it can store text, or it can even store actual variables. Now, I'm not talking about putting a local inside of this, because then that is just being retardedness. Okay, it's not gonna work. It's gonna break your script. Right, now how do we actually work with this? Okay, now there's something called in a table which is a placeholder, or let's say a number. Right, now these work like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 4 texts in here, meaning there's 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yes, this might be a bit complicated to you, but if you get like confused, just rewind back and watch the video over. So when we look at these tables, as mentioned, they can store as many information as possible. You're not limited. Just use them properly. Okay, so don't go and try and store all of your blocks and your parts in a table, because that's just dumb. Like, use it for things that's worth it for your game. Okay, that you don't need to repeat it non-stop or type the same type of code out non-stop, when you can push everything into a table, save it there, and then call it later on. Now, how do we actually print all of this out? Okay, so we can't just say print my table. Why can't we do this? Let's check. Let's run it. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get a bunch of nonsense numbers there. Now you might be asking, but Shiny, there's text in there, why is it not printing? Because you're being weird, and that's not how you print it. Okay, so how do we print it? Right, so we put my table, you put these brackets, and you put 1. Let's run that. It prints dog. Okay, why does it print dog only? Because dog is number 1 in the table. If we have to change this to cat and change this to dog, it should print cat, because cat is number 1. Let's print it. And there's cat. Okay, but let's say we wanted to print pig first. What we can do is we can print 3. My table in the table of 3. Okay, there's printed, there's pig. Now, what happens if we want to print everything? Okay, so we put 1, comma, my table, 2, comma, my table, 3, comma, my table, 4. I'm sure you get it by now, right? Let's run that. Cat, dog, pig, donkey. Okay, so it printed all of these because we printed them, right? But now, let's say we actually wanted to print this one by one, slowly. Okay, let me show you now where the for loop comes involved. There we go, say for I, or let's just say for I, comma v, in pairs, my table do. Okay, just excuse that spelling. Right, now what we can do here is we can say print we can say print my table task dot wait. Right now you might be looking at this, gonna give us the same thing, but here it gave us 4. It printed 4 times. Why? Because of this. Right now, how can we actually fix this? So if we do print my table 1, will that fix it? Let's test it. So it prints cat 4 times. But we want it to loop through all of it. Okay, so what we can do is we can do I, right? Because I is the instant, it's the input. Because cat, donkey, pig, donkey, cat, dog, pig, donkey. Okay, that's I, it's an input, it's not a value. V stands for value, I stands for input or instance, whatever you want to call it. Now it prints 1, 2, 3, 4. But shiny, we don't want that. Okay, fine. So all we've done now is we've printed all of this based on their number row. Okay, so now if we do toString I, what does this now actually do? Let's check. It's the same thing. Okay, now if we actually look at this, we want to say print my table. Okay, let's run that, and there you have it. Right, so yes, I took the longer route. The reason for that is because I'm showing you exactly the errors that beginner scripters run into. You can't be able to script something if you don't think ahead of time. Okay, scripting is not something you think of on spot. You need to be able to read your code and debug it. Okay, now if we do this, notice my task.wait has no number in it. Let's put 3. Let's run it. Cat, dog, pig, and donkey. Wow, we just wrote our first line of script. Lovely. Okay, now this is a table. Sorry, this is a table. For loop, this loops through an array of data in a table. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if we remove that, it would be 1, 2. Now do not put another thing like that, otherwise it's gonna error. Watch. Okay, cat, dog, and now it's waiting for the next one. Okay, so it's not actually gonna stop. The reason for that is because now you've symbolized there's more information afterwards. Okay, that's not what we want, right? So you just remove that. Okay, now here comes another thing, right? Let's say we had local my table and we had health. Let's do health equals 10, right? And let's do stamina equals false, and then we have position equals top. Now notice how there's so many red lines here. The reason for that is, remember, when we put the commas in, they have to be followed after what we've done. You want to put a comma there, you want to put a comma there, and you leave it like that, right? Now over here, notice how we've got that red thing. Okay, so if we look at this realistically, that is not going to help. Why is this actually doing this? So let's check. Let's copy this, move it. Okay, I want you to spot it. I'll give you 2 seconds, 3 seconds to spot what did I actually do wrong here. Okay, everything is right, but what am I doing wrong? Great, if you spotted it, over here needs to be an equal sign. Okay, so on here, now that we've got the equal sign in, everything is working. So again, if we print my table, we're going to get that weird number. So what do we actually do? So we say for I, comma v, in pairs, my table. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to say print I, right? Why are we printing I? We're printing this. Okay, so for I dot, right? Because we want to print it something like this. this is essentially how we want it to come out over here. We want it to come out like that, right? So we do it like that. So over here you put dot dot. The reason for a dot dot is so that we can actually come in and put those two colons, put a dot dot. These here you don't need to put spaces in. Okay, then we want to say toString b. Why are we doing toString? What is this actually? Okay, so here, print all provided values to the output. Now, over here, how many values do we have? Essentially, we have 1, right? Which is the 10. So, if we do this, task.wait1, okay, let's run it. There you have it. Stamina, false, health, 10, position, top. Awesome, right? Okay. So if you did struggle with this, drop a comment below. Maybe I can create another video with deeper depth in this and explaining it better. You know, if you do like these series and it has helped you out, don't forget to drop a like or a follow. It's all up to you. It's completely free. It's just for support. But anyways, on here, if you have questions or any errors you're running into or something on your side is not working, drop a comment, maybe join my Discord server, and then I can see if I can help you out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and that's gonna be a surprise for you guys. Okay, bye bye.